Conan the Conqueror is dead.
For a number of years, reports of progress towards a third Conan, the barbarian film, have remained steady, with Arnold Schwarzenegger suggesting in 2016 that it was indeed going to happen. However, would-be producer Chris Morgan has pretty much put to rest the idea that Conan the Conqueror or the Legend of Conan will ever happen. He told Entertainment Weekly that the studio has decided against it, since the movie would have brought Schwarzenegger back in the starring role. It was already becoming less and less likely, as the former bodybuilder aged, that he could take up the sword again. Perhaps another reboot will happen down the line. The 2011 remake tanked in the box office, but it seems no sequel will come.
A Flash Gordon remake is supposedly still happening.
Flash Gordon first appeared in 1936 in a sci-fi film serial of 13 installments. The character made his triumphant return to pop culture in the 80s with both a popular film and TV show. Because the character was so popular, the talks of another Flash Gordon film have existed for decades, and even spawned a brief return to the small screen in 2007. A Flash Gordon remake film is supposedly in the works again. Director Matthew Vaughn has been attached to the project for a number of years now, but he sounds less optimistic than others about its chances, as he fears the story's too similar to Guardians of the Galaxy. That said, there are writers working on it, specifically Mark Protosevich, Jay Payne, and Patrick McKay. The project isn't dead, but it hasn't exactly escaped its purgatory yet.
A Top Gun sequel has a 2019 release date.
Top Gun: Maverick is set to hit theaters July 19, 2019, reports Rolling Stone. As the title suggests, the movie will return Tom Cruise, his starring role as Pete Maverick Mitchell, now a wizened flight instructor. The movie may have been made sooner, but when the director of the 1986 classic, Tony Scott, died in 2012, things are back on track, with the new film being directed by Joseph Kosinski, director of another Cruise movie, Oblivion. This next-generation Top Gun film will maintain the air of competition between young dog fighters, but will also address their place in the world of today's technology of drones and other unmanned aircrafts.
Schwarzenegger and Devito are getting a long-lost brother in Triplets.
In the most aggressively 80s news of all time, a sequel to Twins has been confirmed. Only now Schwarzenegger and Devito will be getting another brother played by Eddie Murphy. At a public event, Schwarzenegger said that Triplets will start shooting as soon as he's done with the sixth Terminator movie, which films in March of 2018. Ivan Reitman is returning to direct, and the script is reportedly being finished by Ryan Dixon and actor Josh Gad, the latter of whom has become a big comedy star, so there's a real chance Triplets will be funny, even by this generation's standards.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2 will probably never happen.
In November 2016, director Robert Zemeckis told The Telegraph that a Who Framed Roger Rabbit sequel will likely never happen. Though a script that he calls more a continuation than a sequel has been written, he believes it will never be produced because the property is owned by Disney. In 1988, a dark and overtly sexual film noir about a cartoon rabbit could fly, but Zemeckis feels that Disney would not be interested in such a film in this day and age, largely because of the inherent sexism of Jessica Rabbit. Zemeckis admits a sequel likely wouldn't resonate with audiences today, but that doesn't mean there aren't fans still hoping that the continuation script makes its way into production.
The creator of Black-ish is penning a Coming to America sequel.
Variety reports that Kenya Barris, creator of the hit ABC sitcom Black-ish, will be writing a sequel to the 1988 Eddie Murphy film Coming to America. The movie is being produced by Paramount, who have inked Jonathan Levine to direct. Levine has proven his comedy chops as well, having helmed The Night Before 50/50 and Warm Bodies, among others. Murphy is apparently involved in the project, though it's not clear in what capacity, and it's being called a sequel, suggesting a continuation of the story, as opposed to a reboot.
Beverly Hills Cop 4 will be shot in Detroit.
Well, the fourth installment to the series will be shot in Detroit if it happens. Belgian directors Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah are attached to the project, which would be produced on a relatively small budget of $1 million by Jerry Bruckheimer and Eddie Murphy. Murphy would reprise his role as a now veteran Axel Foley, being paired up with a hardened cop from Detroit, according to Joe Blow. There are a couple considerations for said hardened cop.
The Broken Lizard leader is writing a new Cheech and Chong movie.
Jay Chandrasekhar, a founding member of the Broken Lizard comedy troupe and writer of the popular Super Troopers and Beerfest films, reportedly teamed up with Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong in 2014 to write a film for them that would center around the stoner duo at a festival called Burning Joint. Though wouldn't truly be a sequel to any of their films, it would be their first since Still Smokin' in 1983, and would clearly have a similar tone, making it somewhat of a spiritual successor. That said, no news has come out about the project since 2014, and with the two comedians now in their 70s, it may very well never come to fruition.
The Dark Crystal will become a Netflix series.
Jim Henson created several cult classics in the 80s, including The Dark Crystal, a fantasy about two puppet factions in the world of Thra with the evil Skeksis and the kindly Mystics. For years, rumors of a sequel have trickled out of Hollywood, but the closest thing was a straight-to-DVD animated film that thankfully never happened. But in May 2017, Nerdist reported that a Netflix series was officially in the works called The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. Louis Leterrier will run the show, which will include puppets made by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. It's set to release on Netflix in 2018.
Jim Henson's daughter is producing a new Labyrinth movie.
Muppets creator Jim Henson was the beautiful mind behind Labyrinth, a 1986 fantasy adventure about a teen named Sarah Jennifer Connolly, who has to save her little brother when he is kidnapped by the Goblin King Jareth, famously played by David Bowie. According to The Hollywood Reporter, a sequel is in the early stages, which will be written and directed by Fede Alvarez. Alvarez is responsible for 2016's surprise hit suspense film, Don't Breathe. The new Labyrinth is believed to be a true sequel, a continuation of the story, as opposed to a remake, and will be produced by Lisa Henson, Jim Henson's daughter.
Richard Donner's advanced age may stop a Goonies sequel from ever happening.
The Goonies is a cult classic that launched the career of many big-named actors who starred in the 1985 adventure as youths of varying ages. One of those stars was Corey Feldman, And in 2014, MovieWeb reported on numerous public statements made by Feldman, explaining why the actor believed a sequel to The Goonies would never happen. The Goonies director Richard Donner is 87 years old, said Feldman. And it's like, no one really wants to make it without him. He's the driving force behind it. He says it's still alive. But as we all know, when you get to that age, things slow down quite a bit. There is a big possibility that he might not want to keep driving it. So, I think without him, it doesn't happen. And every day that passes, that he doesn't do it, there is less and less chance that it is ever going to happen at all.
Gremlins 3 has been written and is reportedly in production.
Chris Columbus wrote two strange but wildly popular Gremlins movies 30 years ago, and now he's written a sequel. In an interview with /Film, Columbus said of his sequel, "The first two were actually quite dark in their own right. Despite ostensibly being children's movies, the first was more mature than anticipated, garnering a PG-13 rating for the sequel." /Film reports the movie is in production at Warner Bros. And Columbus assures fans that they'll still use puppets in this CGI era to bring the little monsters back to the big screen.
Keanu says Bill and Ted 3 is in the works.
Keanu Reeves has made a number of public statements suggesting that Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure will indeed get another sequel, despite nearly 30 years passing since the duo's first sequel. However, with each statement, it sounds more and more like the real thing, with him describing the story in detail on The Graham Norton Show as relayed by EW. There's a cool story. Basically, they are supposed to write a song to save the world, and they haven't done that yet. So the pressure of having to save the world, their marriages are falling apart, their kids are kind of mad at them. But then someone comes from the future and tells them if they don't write the song, it's just not the world, it's the universe. So they have to save the universe because time is breaking apart. Supporting Reeves is his co-star Alex Winter, who said in a 2014 Yahoo interview, "The thing we had going against us is that word got out. That was kind of a bummer. It just takes a long time to put a movie together. Now we are having to build this thing in public, which is fine. I just feel bad the fans have to get dragged through this long, boring, protracted process."
Spaceballs could get a sequel thanks to the new Star Wars films.
In May 2017, while hosting a screening for Young Frankenstein, Mel Brooks was asked by the crowd if a Spaceballs sequel would ever happen. Surprisingly, Brooks revealed that he was in talks with MGM to potentially bring back the Star Wars parody, largely due to the triumphant return of the latter starting with The Force Awakens. There is no further reporting to support whether or not this will happen, and Brooks did describe MGM as slightly interested, so it's still far from a sure thing.
Beetlejuice 2 has a new writer.
Deadline Hollywood reports that, as of October 2017, Beetlejuice 2 is still in the works at Warner Bros., but will be rewritten by Mike Vukadinovich, an extremely popular up-and-coming screenwriter. Tim Burton and Michael Keaton are both in talks to return, with no deal made as of yet. Beetlejuice is a 1988 cult classic, hence the undying drive to put a sequel together for 30 years. Though nothing's set in stone, this one feels like it's a sure thing, as Keaton and Burton are said to be excited about it.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.